Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Wallop Media special report. It's Rylan Turner, joined as always by Kyle Joseph. Kyle, how you feeling, man? This is a rough show.
I mean, my feeling is a hard question to answer. I think this feels far more par for the course than it should now. Like the WWE's release, the releases have become a tradition. I remember a very brief period of time where people, because the releases are pre TKO. Like it's an interesting, we're in a weird dynamic where TKO came in and the releases had been happening for a bit of time. WWE would cut a bunch of people after a period of time after WrestleMania. And then, they cut, a couple dozen people or however many it would be after every Mania period. And then I remember very, very briefly when TKO took over, there was, a group of people, well-meaning but wrong people who were going to be like, well, the releases won't keep happening at least. Like they've got financial backing now, so they won't need to keep doing the releases. It's like, you mean the company that owns UFC that has the exact same release practice that cuts,
Not to mention the debt that they have acquired as a company.
Right. But they cut dozens of fighters at a time.
Yeah.
With the UFC now. Like that's not an uncommon practice. So this is just the latest. There's a theme to this one that seems to be floating around that is very interesting. And it is going to lead to, this is the weirdest set of releases, I think. And I don't think we were planning on covering them initially. But after we found out about some of the last ones that we're going to talk about, the last departures from WWE, I don't know if it's fair to necessarily call them releases. I think it becomes a very interesting narrative where I don't know how you feel if you're talent at this company right now. Any talent at this company right now.
Yeah. Especially after this weekend, like this is gonna be a very stressful time as any talent, because I mean, like, before we get into the releases themselves, it was noted before the news that came out this weekend about the departures of two superstars that talent had been approached to basically take a 50% pay cut. And there has been a talent that has agreed to it, but an unnamed talent who has agreed to it. But 50% pay cut, Kyle. Like that's pretty insane to me.
And that's the thing about it. They want to, because I think we're in a place now where I think there was an idea for a while that if WWE released people, like they held on to people for I think longer than I think they necessarily wanted to in some cases. And we'll talk about that when we get to these releases. But WWE was reticent to release people because AEW would basically just snap them up, and then you're giving your competition free talent. And for all of the acknowledgement in WWE of other wrestling companies that has happened over the last couple years, particularly the ones that they do business with, but even some that they don't, AEW remains the red line that they are unwilling to cross. Like, that is the competition, and we hate the competition, and we will forever hate the competition. Whereas now we're in a place where the AEW is not snapping these people up in that same degree. I do think that some of these people are probably going to be AEW bound, and we'll talk about them later too. But we're in a different place where WWE doesn't feel the need, I think, to compete in that same way in terms of, especially in terms of salaries. And now there's going to be a lot of these contracts that were signed pre-TKO that TKO is going to want to renegotiate. They're not in the business of long-term deals. They're not in the business of, and we'll get to this, they're in the business of lifers.
Yeah, I think that after this weekend, that is definitely no longer a thing that I think anyone can feel comfortable like in the WWE anymore. Like,
and it makes me, thinking about it, it makes me wonder. It leads me to wonder, like guys like AJ Styles, who I do think, I don't think that I have any reason to doubt AJ Styles' retirement, but I do wonder if there's an idea of like the WWE quietly making noise to some of these other people that like, yeah, if you're at the twilight of your career, this contract be your last. Do with that information what you will.
Yeah, it's pretty insane at this year in particular. Some of these cuts, they boggle my mind to the umpteenth degree. We should get into them. Get into them. Developmental talent, Luca Cristofino, Malik Blade, Trill London, Serena Linton, Tyra May Steele, Chris Island, Tyreek Iwagawi, and Tyson DuPont were all released. I'm not familiar with any of these talents, although I'm imagining a lot of them are on this A&E reality show that they've been doing.
Some of them are, which was apparently very surprising that some of them did get cut, including the winner of season 1 got cut, which, boy, is that telling. I think that the big thing about it is that these are probably the ones that surprise me the least. But it is one of those things that, like, you know, a lot of the Evolve talent got cut. And what's weird about these cuts is, again, these are not people who are making big money.
No.
These are people starting out in the company. And they can be let go for a variety of reasons. It's just odd to lump them in with some of these other ones. But, you know, neither here nor there. I haven't, again, for any of the names that you've already named, I have never seen them wrestle. I can't say how it's going to go, but it is very odd that they have this grand idea of doing a reality show and then they cut, you know, multiple competitors, including the winner. That's they
cut a competitor that is taking part, who is a part of this season, the current season that's going right now. So the season's already over. She was working with them to do a contract, and they just decided to cut her. So you're going to see her travel or essentially go on to potentially win this thing and then lose. So it's the silly, whoever, like, I think you said it best. The people who are doing the creative and the people who are doing the cuts are not on the same page.
Which, how do you not have that as a meeting? Like, and maybe they do and they just don't care. And I think that's the big takeaway for a lot of this is, like, the money people don't care because they believe, rightly or wrongly, they believe that the fans won't care.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, some of these are, like I said, some of these are nuts. Dante Chen, who never broke out of NXT, but he's been around forever, I think. I seem to remember him part of the 2020 class.
2021 he was signed to Dante Chen.
Okay. The entirety of the Wyatt Six has been cut. Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, Bo Dallas, Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, and Jason. No, go ahead.
And this is one of the ones these are some of the ones that it's a recurring theme for WWE. Looking at some of these, there are a lot of cut twice.
Yeah.
And most of the Wyatt Six had been, I think most of had been cut because Bo Dallas was cut before. Eric Rowan has been cut before.
And I think Eric Rowan has been cut twice before.
I think you might be right about that, which is wild. Dexter Loomis was briefly cut before. Like, to see those guys go. And then obviously Nikki Cross, who did great work in every faction that she was ever in. One of those people who I think under the radar was a really good, reliable character for undercards. And it's one of those things that, again, you're doing 6 hours of weekly TV plus NXT, which is another 2, right? 8 total hours of weekly TV. You got to have somebody to put on it.
The SmackDown tag division right now, after all these cuts, after we get through them, is pretty depleted. They between both brands, they have 12 teams, 12 men's teams left, most of which have not been pushed at all in the last few years. We're talking about the Garzas, the LWOs, the teams that like have been background players forever. So I don't know if the Rock can get strapped to these people now. I guess it kind of has to. What choice do you have? But anyway, getting into more, Andre Chase, who has been in NXT forever at this point.
Yeah.
Zoe Stark, a lady who has been out injured for
this is an uncomfortable one.
Now, from what I've read, she had been cleared and was waiting to get called back. But I mean, she had been injured quite significantly for a significant amount of time. Very uncomfortable regardless. Alba Fire, a character that has been a part of one of the most over acts in the company for ever in a day, as well as just a great wrestler.
It's another reminder that managers are so unvalued in WWE.
She was wrestling too, though. You know what I mean?
No, I know she was. I'm just saying that is not a track to safety, which is terrible because managers are an important part of a wrestling act.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is AEW recognizes that. We could say whatever we want about
AEW
Don Callis.
Goes back and forth, I would say. Like, they have definitely let some managers go in the past that I was very much questioning. But at the same time, they do at least recognize, the Don Callis of the world. They do have a recognition that managers are important in certain facets. And certainly AEW's history its early history was very strong with managers. So I do hope that is something that's going to continue going forward, but who knows?
Apollo Crews.
Lifer.
Yeah. Like, how long had he been with the
2014. 2014 he was signed.
Yeah, 12 years. That's nuts. For me, the thing with a guy like Apollo Crews is WWE has lit this guy on fire once in those 12 years. And for me, this company has been hoarding this talent and, having them sit around doing nothing for some of the like, don't get me wrong, Apollo Crews, I fully expect him. And there's been a lot of talk about how he's a guy who could go out there and completely reinvent himself and how he was not the person that he was on the indies in the WWE because he was not allowed to be.
Yeah.
And so I expect that he's going to do some things. I don't expect him to be an immediately over to AEW guy. I might be
probably
wrong.
Not.
I might be wrong. Maybe you throw him in the Hurt Syndicate because
and that was my thought, was like he would be a really good candidate for the Hurt Syndicate, but not a necessary move, certainly.
And also, Kairi Sane. This is her second release.
Yep.
This one is the biggest example of you're in the middle of a fucking storyline. You're in the middle of a storyline with somebody, with her and Asuka and Io, and we were building to something for months. And just, nope, sorry, you're out. Like, this is, from all accounts, actually, from what I've read, there was a bit of this was the fact that she had intended to go back to Japan, and she was not wanting to live in the States anymore. Now, whether that is true or not, this is so silly. This cut seems so silly. I can't imagine that she was ready to go like before this story had played out.
No. And that's the other thing is like, this couldn't have waited 2 months.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it after Backlash. The beating heart of Asuka and Io was Kairi Sane. And if I'm not mistaken, they're having a match at Backlash, aren't they?
I believe they're having a match tonight on Raw.
Oh, joy. Well, never mind.
I might be wrong. It might just be a segment, but I was pretty sure I saw that them advertised for a match.
No, they're having a match at Backlash.
Oh, okay. All right.
They're wrestling at Backlash. Well, what's the point if the beating heart of it is gone?
That's the thing. It's not like she was the side character. You're absolutely right calling her the beating heart of this story. The story is that she's eventually going to turn on Asuka and have that big moment. And they just ripped it away from everybody which I'm sorry, but like
that's the whole point of the match. That's literally the whole point of the match is for Kairi to turn on Asuka and give us that big moment of a story they've been building for 8 months now?
Yeah. It's been a long time. It's been a long
It could have happened at WrestleMania. You could have just done it then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could have put that on one of those nights where you decided that you didn't want any match going over 10 minutes. Could have given it 12 and it would have balanced things out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that one, this one, I would love to say that she's going to AEW, but like, again, if the rumors are true that she just wants to move back to Japan, all the power to her. If that's what she wants, then who are we to?
There are multiple companies, Stardom among, that would be very, very happy to have her. Like if she wants to go to Japan and wrestle, great. If she wants to be done with wrestling, also great. If she wants to make appearances in AEW has also shown a willingness to work with Stardom too. So like, she'd be a great person for a Dynasty show. Yeah. Her versus Mercedes would be fantastic for a Dynasty show.
Right. The Motor City Machine Guns, who were signed around this time last year. Maybe a little bit before this time. No, because I believe they
24. They were signed in advance of 24, like Mania 24, somewhere around there. Okay. They were like right around that period. I cannot remember exactly when they got signed. I'll look it up, but
this is just them telling us
September of 24.
Okay. The tag team division, like whatever in WWE. These guys, I expect them to make their way to AEW. They've made an AEW appearance before. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like they're and they're familiar with a lot of the talent there. Like, it seems like they're friends with everybody. So like, they will make their way over there. And these guys are phenomenal. You know what's amazing? Both these guys are in their mid 40s and they still wrestle like they're 25. Like, it's great. Mm-hmm. So I expect them to go over there and have a great series of matches. Santos Escobar. This one's interesting to me, considering that they just signed him again after basically him demanding his release. There was rumors that CMLL was looking to grab him up for a pretty penny, and that would look like he could be, involved in AEW in some sort, but ultimately, working for CMLL. Then they give him the money and they sign him just to release him. Like,
well,
why?
Tore his tricep.
Oh yeah. So okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. Like that's my point. So he was part of AAA. He was on Rey de Reyes on in March. He tore his tricep and was cut a month later. This is the thing. From history of WWE, I assume they're taking care of his medicals. I hope they're taking care of his medicals. Because if they're not, that is deplorable behavior. But
well,
I'm not
actually,
going to.
you know what, Kyle? If we go back to Ridge Holland, I believe they stopped paying for his medicals.
I really hope that Santos does, and that's the thing. I really hope they at least take care of him. He gave them a lot, but I got a point to actually. You know what? No, we'll wait till we get to the end, and then I'll make my point. But please continue.
Okay. JC Mateo and Tonga Loa of the MFTs. JC Mateo, also known as Jeff Cobb. Tonga Loa, look, this guy, I'm sorry. Like, I want to be silly for a second. This guy came into WWE and acted like every goofy video you ever saw of him wrestling in New Japan. And I was just like, all right, well, that one checks out. Like, I guess, like.
So, but they were they cut or did they request their way
out? I have not heard. Perhaps it was one of the situations with them asking for a pay cut or asking them to take a 50% pay cut. There's rumor out there that Roman was one of those people that they asked to take a 50% pay cut. Can you imagine if you were Roman Reigns in that moment? I would be like, you can take it and shove it.
It just says that they parted ways. There isn't a recognition that they've been released. So my guess is it's similar to, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but I guess it's a similar situation to it's a mutual separation. They were probably approached to take less money or do something that they didn't want to do, and it was better that they just sort of parted ways. Jason Mateo is a weird one. Like Tonga Loa is kind of who knows what. Jason Mateo is a very odd one because it was kind of odd they signed him in the first place. If I'm being honest with you, not that I didn't like Jeff Cobb. I'm a huge Jeff Cobb fan. I think he's he is an excellent
but you're not wrestler. Wrong that he doesn't seem to fit the mold of what a WWE wrestler is, and he was a weird signing at the time. I do remember thinking to myself, like, what are they going to do with him? I figured an NXT
and the answer was nothing.
No. Yeah, the answer was he's going immediately into that fucking Bloodline 2.0. Does it make any sense? No. Do we care? No.
Who cares?
I really hope that JC Mateo lands on his feet. Like, I feel like that's a guy who could go back to New Japan any day.
And,
100%. Especially with the scene they have right now, like there's a lot of openings for a Jeff Cobb. AEW is another place that he could go.
He was there for a bit.
That's fair. Yeah, like
he did a couple matches there.
Right. Whether or not he, is a top act there. I mean, I don't think at this point Jeff Cobb's looking to be a top act. I'm thinking he's just looking to get paid, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's totally fine. Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, husband and wife combo. Aleister Black been back for about a year. This is a strange one to me for many reasons. Number one, again, why bring him back just to get rid of him?
Yeah.
But the thing for me is this guy was booked so strong in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. Like this guy eliminated like 5 dudes and looked great. The whole thing made to look awesome.
Yeah.
And then they just I guess we're done. And I mean, there's another rumor going around that somebody in TKO doesn't like the supernatural characters. I fucking doubt it. Like, I really doubt that that's like really what this is. Don't get me wrong. That the rap sheet looks bad when that rumor comes out. But like, for me, like they didn't do anything with Aleister Black either. He kind of just filled in the role of Karrion Kross. He was the devil on your shoulder. He was trying to turn Sami Zayn heel. He succeeded at that. He like the things he planted in Sami Zayn's head months ago finally paid off, but he's not there to reap the benefit of it.
No. Why?
This is unfortunately though, this one doesn't look as easy as back to AEW as some of these, just simply based on some of the output that we've seen from some of the members of the roster, as well as the head of talent or one of the heads of talent, basically stating that they're not interested in having him back. I mean, like, God, this guy is so talented, and such a unique character, and just somebody who I feel like, I guess an indie run might be necessary at this. You could put him and Zelina on the indies, do what Karrion Kross is doing right now. They're making tons of money. Like, I would really love to see him back in AEW, because at least that there's some sort of history there. It's upsetting that, obviously, not everybody and him got along, and here's the thing. For Tony Khan, that's a tough position, because Tony Khan, like, I'm sure he'd love to have him back. It's not like Aleister Black ever said anything bad about them in the media.
But he also bailed, which I get on the one hand there is, but also, do I blame him for going back to work with his wife again?
No.
And that's the thing about it, is it's a weird, complicated one and I love Aleister Black. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I want for him to, I'd love to see him back in AEW, and I do think there's more to do with Malachi Black there. But if that's not the direction they want to go, who knows? I don't.
I think for Tony Khan, like I said, the reason I think it behooves Tony Khan is, like, you don't really want to upset the locker room with a hire, especially when you've been kind of clear sales for the last while.
Yep.
So it's too bad, because, again, you're right. Like you said, he's one of my favorite wrestlers too, and I really enjoy his work. I was really hoping that we were getting, like, the original. Apparently, one of the original plans for WrestleMania was he was going to be the one that Randy Orton was talking to get him to turn on Cody. Like, that would have been great too. That would have been Kevin Owens, Aleister Black. I wouldn't have cared. Pat McAfee is what we got. Like, maybe if we didn't get Pat McAfee, we got Aleister Black, we'd still have Aleister Black. And Zelina Vega, like, it's too bad. I mean, like, she's had some really great runs. I believe she was she not the second ever women's U.S. champion? She beat Chelsea Green for it.
Yes, and she was also the first ever queen of the ring. She won it the year that Woods won it, but I can't remember if she was the first or the second.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I will look it up, but yeah, she's up there.
Again, too bad. She's a great talent. I hope that, honestly, like I said, it would be great to see them just go on a run on the indies. You know what would be funny?
She was, in fact, the first ever Queen of the Ring, 2021.
Well, there you go.
God,
I would.
She beat Toni Storm in the opening round of that tournament.
Really?
God, yeah, right?
What weird times. And of course, the last two people that we're going to talk about.
Also not releases.
Yeah, not releases. This is a situation where it looks like they were asked to take a pay cut. They decided to tell them to kick rocks. Good for you guys. The New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods. Firstly, what a run. Like, no, let's not, like, this isn't a situation where they're releasing these guys because they don't have anything for them. It's because they would refuse the pay cut. And again, like I said, all the power to you for that, guys. But what a run that these guys have had for the last decade, if not longer. Kofi Kingston, WWE champion, 2019. Big E was eventually as well.
Let's forget Kofi's been in the company since 2006.
Oh yeah, like Kofi's had 18 years, I think.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
18 years of his like main roster debut, but he was in OVW even before that.
That's nuts. These guys are the most exciting situation here because look, we've talked about it for years. We can go the Elite. We can do the New Day versus the. Obviously, they're not going to be called the New Day in AEW, but it doesn't matter. Like that's the thing. Like with guys that are on the level of Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, like I don't think anyone's really harping over Edge being Adam Copeland. Like, because to me, they're the same guy. Like Vince argues with me on that all the time, but no, I it's the same dude. So eventually, it just became second nature to think of that. Austin Creed, and I mean Kofi is that man's real first name.
Yes.
So like he could be, and we already do have a Kingston in AEW. So
yeah. And honestly, the Kingston thing didn't really work. It was only his name because of tradition. By that point, but like Kingston being the capital of Jamaica,
right, and
so,
that being the original character,
right. So, they could just call him Kofi. Why not? We know who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, here's a big one, Kyle. We have Wembley coming up. Are these 90-day contracts up by then?
When's Wembley?
That would be all in.
Let me look it up
here.
All in 2026 is August 30th. They were let go what? May 2nd.
Yeah.
May to June, June to July, July to August is 3 months. Yeah. August 30th. They'd be free agents by then. Well,
seems like the thing to do. Honestly, Tony Khan, if you don't do this, you're fucking dumb. You're fucking dumb, man. And I listen, I give you credit where credit is due. Like, I've been really enjoying the AEW product as of late when I do catch it. The pay-per-views have consistently been great when I do catch them. And we got a Will Ospreay back now. He's, for whatever reason, now with the Death Riders. That's weird. We'll talk about it another time. But yeah, the New Day's got to go to AEW. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't. People go, well, what about like an indie run? I don't care. I want what I want. I'm sorry. Like, So I have a question though, Kyle. Does this mean up, down, down is done?
That was also my question. Which, boy, like they literally hired Tyler Breeze back to do that and that alone. So
I'm surprised we haven't seen his name. Like,
I expect that we probably, now that Creed's departed, I expect we probably will. Which, here's the thing. I don't know if up, down, down is his property or theirs. If it's his property, that new contract pays for itself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
But, like, regardless, he's going to be streaming and doing things under his own brand and whatever.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. I imagine he'll take a break for a little while just to decompress from everything.
But he has, solid relationships with a number of the people. Like I think they're kind of notoriously like relatively close with Kenny Omega for sure.
Oh yeah.
But you could take that exact same concept to AEW. Like, if you wanted to, what would stop you?
Yeah, 100%.
If he wants 100%. To do it and they're down for it, you could take the exact same thing to AEW, and there's no reason to not. There's a bunch of video game dorks in that locker room too.
Well, they have their own video game department, like on YouTube. So, like, they all, just jump right in. In. A lot of those guys, keep in mind, were a part of up, down, down for years. Cesaro, Adam Cole, like they were guys that were around. Like,
God, you could reunite left, right if you got Tyler Breeze to come to there too. because that's Adam Cole and Cesaro were the other members of that little video game faction. There's so look forward to BA Start, which is the rest of the Konami code, to start up in AEW sometime in the summer. I don't know. Again, I expect that that's the direction they're going to go. So I do think that the releases overall had a couple themes. One, the re-releases was an uncomfortable thing. The number of people who had already been cut, Kairi Sane you mentioned, Eric Rowan, obviously, Bo Dallas had been re-released, Zelina Vega had been re-released, Aleister Black, obviously, Santos Escobar. I think he was cut at one point and then came back.
You might be right. I don't remember 100%.
But the other thing that's uncomfortable about all of this is Kairi Sane is 37, Apollo Crews is 38, Chris Sabin's 44, Alex Shelley's 42, Aleister Black is 40, Santos Escobar is 42, Jeff Cobb, I don't know if he got released in that same way, is 43, Dexter Lumis is 42, Eric Rowan's 44. Did TKO just sort by age on the roster and then just start, slashing through names that they couldn't honestly justify keeping around? Like, obviously they're not going to fire CM Punk.
No, but my whole thing is like, I think because, well, number one, I think the argument that wrestlers' prime has, grown in years at this point, there's an argument to be had there. But
yes, my big point, the reason I say it, sorry, I just want to clarify. The reason I say it is, especially for the mid-carders, there's no lifers anymore. Like, that's what this feels like. It's unless you are a big name and a big draw unto yourself, we don't want you to stay around until you retire. This is not your gold watch. Get out. Which is extremely antithetical to what WWE has been for a long time. Like, that's what we thought when they initially hired the Guns. I think the reaction was basically like, that will be a great final run for them in the big time.
Right.
And that's been, and especially for a company that for quite a while, especially under the Triple H, NXT, or whatever it is, the expectation is you don't show up to WWE to make a name for yourself. You show up after you've made a name for yourself. I guess they're going to get more athletes and try to develop them up that way. I get they've had some success churning out some younger talent recently.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, your Braun Breakers, your Obafemis, like they're Tiffany Stratton, like we forget that Tiffany Stratton is not even 5 years into this business.
Yeah,
or she may be 5 years into this business.
Right, but my point is, but then if you're looking around if you're on that roster, and you're on the wrong side, quote unquote, of 40, regardless of the work that you're capable of doing. If you're not in that upper echelon, do you feel safe come Mania next year?
No, probably not. Probably not. Like, my thing too is just, I understand that this is a business, and ultimately, like, you gotta be able to justify what you're spending. But the problem is like, this company brought these people in and guaranteed them this money. And however many years they signed them for or whatever. They were paying people ridiculous sums of money to not go to AEW because they knew they had competition. And now they're because, I mean, like, again, as soon as this company was started, they started in debt. Like, it's not like that, it's not like they talk about all their profit funds, but they're profiting, the best they ever have, historic gates and what have you. But when it comes to, like, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, we gotta ask you for 50%. We got to ask you for 50% after the runs that they've had, the time they spent in the company, the merch they've sold. Like you could have flipped them babyface tomorrow and they would have started selling merch again.
Mm-hmm.
They probably sold merch as heels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
and they
again,
brought value to, especially you look at a guy like Austin Creed. Xavier Woods has spent his entire career as a mid-carder and a tag act. But he's been one of the most popular wrestlers in the company in large part because of what he can bring. And if there's one thing I can say, the New Day were the safest hands to put in front of the public. They were charismatic, like excellent. They were the perfect brand ambassadors for the company in a way that 100%. A lot of, like, even the biggest stars aren't necessarily the greatest brand ambassadors for the company. Yeah. And getting rid of those guys, again, when you need people to go to bat for you, you're running out of people who can do that.
Yeah. And again, like the biggest thing for me is the point that you made off the top is how do you feel safe in this company when the New Day are being asked to go because they won't take a pay cut?
And that's the thing, is it can turn real quick. And especially like a guy like JC Mateo, who they only really just brought in. Like, I don't even know if he was there for a year.
The other thing, like you're right. Like he very well may have just come in last summer and we just don't remember fully. But like the thing with me with that guy is like, it's the same thing with the Wyatt Six. Like the Wyatt Six, at least they had been off TV for a significant amount of time. And like, it's not like don't get me wrong. They were feuding with the MFTs, but that they did their blow off match. And about a month later, they released them.
Yeah.
Whatever. The MFTs are on TV every fucking goddamn week. We're just watching this group get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Kairi Sane was in the middle of... Yes. There's only 5 matches at Backlash, and one of them, she was the emotional center of it.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what WWE comes up. They're going to have Asuka come out there with sparklers to dance around to try to get them to actually settle this feud. It's so silly. It's so silly because, again, if they had let Kairi Sane go 2 months from now, people would have been upset because she's Kairi Sane. She's earned the right to be there. But at least we would have had that moment of like, at least we got that emotional resonance. At least we got that story. At least we got something ending.
Yeah.
Now we just get, and the thing that they are banking on, that TKO is banking on, is that the fans don't care. They'll turn up for whoever comes out there, and they don't care. And
but they just did this last year and learned their fucking lesson, didn't they? With the
I don't know. Do they learn any lessons? Because last I checked, their quarterly earnings are really good. And do they care beyond that?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And that's ultimately the question.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, man, it's unfortunate that every time you and I talk about wrestling these days, it's a downer. You know what I mean? Like, we got to come back for All In.
In fairness, our last thing was for WrestleMania, and the fact that was a downer was not what WWE was trying to do. Like, I don't think they expect...
never what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but the releases are always going to be a downer. But
right.
I wasn't really planning on covering this except to say, like, even though, again, Apollo Crews, Santos Escobar, especially Aleister Black, Alba Fire, a lot of these wrestlers I quite love. I have a strong resonance with. And then, but I think with the New Day leaving, that's a blow to that locker room. That is, and it's just... What hurts me about the situation with AEW, because AEW, I think, is fair to say that AEW is pretty full in terms of talent. I don't think they can go on a really like a big hiring spree or anything like that.
Right.
It makes me wish there was one more. You know what I mean? It makes me wish there was another company that could fill that role so that a lot of these extremely like what I'll say is with these releases, it confirms to me there's a lot of talent available.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not even talking. We're not even looking at like the talent that we don't watch, you know, and the GCWs and what have you, whatever the juggalos are doing. But my point though,
MLW.
yeah, MLW, there's tons of guys there that I'm sure Paul Walter Hauser's out here having hardcore bangers and then winning Emmys and fucking getting nominated for Oscars in
That's the thing.
MLW.
I'll say this: if you're MLW, you might be able to, with some of these people, go to an organization and be like, if you put some money into this, we could make this into a thing.
Yeah, it's run by a guy who used to write for WWE too, so it's not like the wrestling minds aren't there. You know,
But that's what I'm saying is like there's enough talent available to you right now that you might be able to make a push if you're one of these organizations. I don't know if there's enough money and enough returns or whatever it is, but like again, the other thing is there's a glut of streaming services. Maybe some of them don't want to touch wrestling, but I feel like at least some of them want something to put on.
Right.
I feel like there's space. That's all I'm saying.
Kyle, the next time the two of us will be sitting here alone, we will be arguing with each other. And that'll be on this month's edition of Wallop Records. Stay tuned for that. It'll be one of our most spirited debates. We'll try and be as friendly as possible. I may cry. We'll find out.
We've also got some fun content coming that is less confrontational about sitcoms.
We have part 3. Part 3 of sitcoms is part 2 of sitcoms is coming this Friday because I'm going to drop this tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know, we'll keep it as timely as possible. Part 2 of sitcoms is coming this Friday. Part 3 will be out next Friday, and then back-to-back weeks of Wallop Records. First week, me and Kyle will argue. Second week, we get our American friends back, and we're gonna make them listen to some more Canadian music. Tiffany's gonna join us as well.
I still have to figure out what I'm showing them, so that should be a fun time.
Yeah, I may change my song 6 more times before that show. We'll find out. But regardless, Kyle, thanks for doing this, man. It's I like you said, with the New Day, it just felt like that was a big blow for me. Is like that's my 20s. You know what I mean? Like my 20s watching the WWE. Like they were a part of the only tag team elimination chamber match, which is actually great. Anyway. Regardless, Kyle, thanks again for doing this. Why don't you send the people home happy?
Well,
or try to anyway. On this
Wallop listeners, don't you dare be sour. Clap for these extremely talented individuals who are going out and going to make a name for themselves in whatever company they happen to be in and feel the power. And you have been Wallop.